Hi, boys and girls, and welcome to day 3 of Bible. So, your learning targets today are I can know and understand that we should learn to be unselfish and trust God to make things work for our good. I can know and understand that we should never forget God's words and we should always choose God's way because His way is right. All right, so Abraham and Sarah were happy in their new home because they obeyed God. God gave them everything they could ever need, and Abraham became very rich. He had many herds of cattle and sheep, and he lived in a beautiful tent home, and all his servants had beautiful tents to live in too. So, do you remember that Abraham had a nephew named Lot? Remember that Lot and Lot's family and servants traveled to the new land also. Lot was also very rich and had many herds of sheep and cattle. And Abraham's servants were in the same fields taking care of Abraham's sheep and cattle. The servants soon began to argue because they thought there was not enough grass for both Lot's herds and Abraham's herds. So they forgot that God would provide enough grass for all of the herds. They forgot to trust God. And so instead, they worried and quarreled, which means they fought, and they became very, very selfish. All right, so soon Abraham heard about the quarreling, which is fighting, and he went to talk to his nephew Lot. Abraham told Lot, "Our servants should not be arguing. God will provide enough grass for your herds and for my herds. It does not please God to see the arguing and the selfish attitudes. So since they will not stop their arguing, let's separate our herds and our servants, and you can pick the land that you want to have. Take your herds and your servants to the land you have chosen, and I will take what is left." So Lot looked over the land. He looked at the land next to the city of Sodom. It was beautiful and greener than any of the other areas. He also knew that Sodom was a wealthy city, and he could become even richer if he lived near that city. Sodom was also a very wicked city, but Lot did not care about that. He was thinking only about how he could get richer. So Lot chose the best land for himself, and Lot was selfish and thought only of himself. So Abraham did not worry about this. He just took his herds and of sheep and went to the land that had more rocks and hills. And Abraham trusted God to provide for his sheep and cattle. It was not long before Lot began to live in the wicked city of Sodom. His selfish ways made him forget about obeying God. And soon he began to have many problems. So finally, God had to destroy the city of Sodom. And Lot and his family lost everything they had. And Lot had to live in a cave and was very poor. But because Abraham trusted God, God continued to bless him all the days of his life. He lived long on the earth, and God made sure that he received all the promises that he had made to him. So, what choice did Lot have to make? Well, he had to choose which land he wanted. So, who let him decide which land he wanted? Well, Abraham did. Abraham told him, "Well, you choose the land that you want, and I will take another one." But why did Abraham decide that he and Lot had to separate? Well, because of how their servants were arguing. And they're like, well, if they're going to argue, we need to separate. So how do you know that Lot was selfish and self-centered? Well, he just thought of the land that he wanted and what he wanted to pick for himself and thought of, how can I be richer? So stay tuned for the next video and we'll keep going over these questions together.